It's an NBA-centric show to start, and there's more news we want to hit on. As you know, the big TV deal with TNT is over for the NBA. NBC is in. Cue the classic 90s theme music. Dun, 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 dun. So nostalgic of my childhood.
You did that well.
But none other than Michael Jeffrey Jordan, that's right, MJ, is going to be a contributor. Now, we don't know what contributor means, but it was big news that he's going to be returning to comment on NBA basketball. And he's also going to be joined by some other NBA goods and greats like Jamal Crawford, Carmelo Anthony, and Reggie Miller. So for the water cooler segment of today's show, I wanted to get you guys' opinion. Noah, you kicked us off last time. Eric, why don't you get us started this time? What do you think about MJ coming back for the NBA on NBC?
I'll say my first thought, and you guys know this because I texted it to you, was, is he out of money? We know that's not true, but it just seemed odd. And I say that because he's been away from the game for a while. Obviously, he has his ownership and stuff like that he was doing. But he was away from the game publicly. He wasn't really in the spotlight, and he didn't seem like a guy that wanted to be in the spotlight. And then a man named LeBron James came along. And my reaction to this is Jordan wants to continually spotlight that he is the greatest of all time. I don't think he does this if there's not a question in people's minds, well, is LeBron the greatest of all time? And I think that's really what's driving him here. He wants to be back to remind people that, and young viewers that aren't necessarily aware of who he is, that he is the definition of basketball. I just feel like that's the driving force there. What's going to be fascinating to me is the NBA on TNT has by far the best show that there's ever been. Maybe when it comes to sports, period. That panel is so fantastic. The personalities are so great. Chuck now competing against Jordan again. That's going to be interesting. What are ratings going to look like? I have to imagine that Michael Jordan on a game of the week situation brings quite the draw. And hearing the man talk about basketball will be fascinating. I mean, everyone should be watching this. I'm excited for it, but yeah, my reaction at first was a little, why is he doing it?
That makes sense. What about you, Noah? What do you think?
Yeah, man. There was one thing in Eric's take that agrees with my take, and that is the fact that Jordan is losing money. And the reason I say that is because Jordan is the king of gambling. He was always playing cards. He was always at the casino. So you know damn well what they brought Michael Jordan in here to do. It isn't to give you the analysis. It isn't to give you the hard-hitting mentality, focused take that you would think Michael Jordan has. It's so you can hear Michael Jordan's FanDuel parlay of the day and get some betting advice from one of, if not the GOATs. That's exactly what he's bringing in for. No, I'm really excited to see another top dog, retired legend come in, chop it up about sports, and really bring his perspective into the modern game, because he, to me, the most I really get to see Jordan in the public eye as a person that didn't get to see him in his prime is his shoes. He has always been kind of quiet in the private thing. I mean, the most notable Michael Jordan moment in my life is when he said the ceiling is the roof at that UNC preseason game, and that was a meme for like 2 weeks. He hasn't really done anything public in the eye, so I think it's going to be a complete draw compared to some of the other different types of basketball content. You talk about Charles Barkley and all that. I'm really excited to see what he does and what he cooks up on NBA on NBC.
You mentioned the shoes. He's making over $200 million a year in residuals from the shoes alone. If he's gambling that away, my man, you need to get some help, because that is so much money. That's Phil Mickelson levels of gambling.
And that's why we're going to hear about Michael Jordan's FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365. The naming rights are still out there, obviously. Parlay of the day.
MGM, Bet365, FanDuel. If you'd like to sponsor the show, holler at your boys. We'd love to invite you to the fold. But no, I think you guys are saying it tongue in cheek, but just in case, for the record, I don't think Michael Jordan is hurting for money.
No.
I think he's doing this for publicity. And I think he's doing it because there's like a symbiotic relationship with him and NBC. When he was in his playing prime, NBA was on NBC from like 90 to 2002. He retired, they retired, he's coming back, they're coming back. I don't know what there is there, but it works in both their mutual interests. NBC gets to say, hey, look, we have Michael Jordan on for anything, and that's going to bring eyeballs, especially if he's doing the gambling, to Noah's point. I think even though he's not hurting for money, that could be a cool segment. MJ's parlays or something like that. And I also think
Forgot
that
to put the sports book in there. MJ's FanDuel parlay of the day.
Yeah, there you go. MJ parlay of the day. But I think MJ is going to get something out of it too. He's still one of the most popular basketball players on the planet, and I think he wants to solidify that. I think he wants to remind the Noahs of the world who think nothing real happened before 2020 or 2015. That hey, I'm still here. I still matter.
A little more credit,
man. It'll do good things for the brand. It'll expand his recognition for another go around. And in the meantime, NBC is going to get some pretty good ratings for having MJ on the program. So I think that's
reaching younger viewers like Noah, do you know Reggie Miller? I mean, I assume you know who Reggie Miller is, but
right. Yeah.
Do you understand his game and how good of a shooter he was, that sort of thing? Like, I think that's especially younger than Noah and not as big of sports heads. It's going to do exactly what John's saying and reintroduce them to basketball, especially at a time that they weren't as soft, let's just say.
No, that's totally fair. And on the record, yes, I know. I think I get the point that you're trying to make. Like Reggie Miller is to whatever. I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I don't want to say Tyrese Halliburton because I feel like that's very tongue-in-cheek.
Same team and all.
Ray Allen,
exactly.
Seems
Ray
a little
Allen, I guess. Yeah,
lesser, but
yeah. Regardless, yeah, I still think it's a draw even to the younger people for sure because you hear your dad talk about like I love Charles Barkley because my dad loved Charles Barkley growing up. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it'll be real interesting to see how NBA on NBC turns out and works out. Obviously, it's going to be a cash cow because it's sports on easy to watch programming, whether you have an antenna or not. But yeah, I'm really excited to see MJ chop it up about some sports and give me his parlay of the day.
I think Reggie Miller was every bit the Steph Curry of the last generation. He's not quite as good a pure shooter, but this is an era when you couldn't get a foul for breathing on someone. Reggie Miller got roughed up, pushed, shoved, and still hit a ton of threes. So nothing against the Splash Brothers and what they did in Golden State. And Curry is the GOAT for 3-point shooting. But if Reggie played in today's NBA, he'd have a few more threes than he had in the 90s. I can guarantee you that.